Welcome to Aaron Hahn Studios, presenting you everything you need to know on inside tap, outside tap, which washer and why. Save time, importantly, not pour money down the drain. These are examples of tap washers. They have different designs. They come as a small kit or a sorted pack in different quantities, including this plain pack of 20s. Let us take a look inside. Notice the tap washer? I'll remove this spindle for a better view. Here is the tap seat, where the washer sits. The contact points are here. These contact points do wear out. As a result, this valve is worn and is deformed from over-tightening. Look at the shape of this new tap seat, now the old seat, and how much metal is missing. The new seat is flat and has more surface contact with the valve, and the old has less. You may even have noticed the tap requires frequent valve washer changes. Water passes through this hole, and this hole separates the two chambers. Normally, the valve covers this hole. Tap washer valve acts like a gate, allowing how much water can enter into the last chamber. Note the point of contact, where the wear is shared, where the leaks can form. Before we can begin work, turn off the mains water. It could initially be seized, and because it uses fibre washers, you may need to nip the valve firmly. Here's a suggestion. Let's drain the pipes. Pick the lowest point. In this example, it's the outside garden tap. Release the pressure. Optionally, you can turn on other taps, but importantly, turn on at the highest point to allow air in, so that the water can drain fully. In our case, the shower. Here's a tip. If your block is level or flat, you can put a hose inside a drain to assist in the cold water pipe's drainage.
Alrighty, vertical ones, dead easy. Not really. I just use like a really fine flat blade screwdriver, just pop these things off. There is usually a little groove somewhere on the side here of this to allow you to get that in there. This is a great example of how these things just loosen themselves off. You've got a notch across like that, which allows a flat bladed area. You can even use I have used a steel ruler to shove between there and undo it. It can be done. You can also use a pair of needle nose type pliers, not exactly these, anything at all that fits between there and there. I've done that before to undo these. With the kits, sometimes they give you this silly little plastic thing. Don't rely on this. It is only a temporary one-off unit that fits there and undoes those suckers. Get them off, put them in your soap dish holder because it just happens to be nearby. I had even once had to, because I've had nothing else, get a flat blade screwdriver, stuff it in like that, right, and just whack it. There you go, good night. Don't lose your other bits. You will need that plastic bit around that spring. This is a classic example. It's a terrible job this tile has done of cutting a hole. I've got other videos on how to do this right, but he's done a terrible job of it. The best tool for this situation to get these off, first of all, we need to open up these taps though, to ensure that all the water has drained away. You don't start winding out while these taps are in their closed position. So what we're going to do is just get just a cheap ass crescent. Anyone can get those from any 2 bob shop, it's not a big deal. See, there's a flat section here on that. Right, it enables you to turn it. Now the best way of course is a barrel spanner onto here that fits on that. Not everyone's got one of these. They come in a kit that you can't just buy the one that you want, you have to buy all 4 or something stupid. A crescent will do it, but in a vertical situation it can be awkward. It depends on how good a tile you've had that's going to undo these things. So I'm actually just going to use this crescent here. Even though the barrel spanner is best, I'm going to use the crescent to be relatable, because it's just a cheap nasty $5 crescent you can get anywhere. Don't strip it. If you have to shift it about, do what you got to do. But quite often it can be hard to get a crescent into that situation where a barrel spanner is mandatory. You can hear the air starting to flow from the thing above. That's the condition of that washer. We did these not so long ago, but it's the seat that's the problem. But it is a giveaway, if you look at the seat here, what's going on. Let's have a quick look at this seat. Not too bad, but probably still get leaking problems for this one. It is actually quite gashed up. and there's not much of the seat is left. We really have a bit of a problem here. So we need to scrape the back of that seat quite well. To do that, I'm going to use one of these manual ones first. These come with two sizes. Obviously, in this case, we want the smaller of the two. What you can see is it is basically a reproduction of that there. That's what you got. So there's our size one there. We're going to screw into that. This here moves. So take it right to the end. See here? Take it right to the end of that. So that, now we've got full movement there. That's the right size. I'm going to screw this in. This is why we had to drain all the water out. If you didn't do that, this is going to be constantly leaking water, dribbling down the wall all the time while you're trying to do the job. It's really, really annoying. This is why I say drain all the water out first, otherwise it'll be constantly flooding out. And when you've got a power drill, which I'm about to show you in a moment, that can cause a real problem. Okay, it's screwed in hand tight enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push in hard. Okay, pushing in, half a turn. Push down, you can hear it scraping it. Now I've scraped that quite a bit. The drawback to these manual units is this. If I'm pushing in and if I twist in and then stop, right, I'll do a little bit more just to try and get the example. I'll go around one more time. And I'm going to go in and then stop. If I now back off and twist this out, what I've just done is made the situation worse, because the seat in there is going to have a bunch of lines in it. It isn't going to be even inside there. I've cleared out most of the muck. You can see the change. See, we've got some nice brass looking areas, some shiny parts, still some muck. But what I'm saying is with this type of a tool, because it's got the serrated edge, it can leave lines in it, which is why we need the other tool. But we need to go a little deeper. You can actually, this is a great example. Look up to the left-hand side corner there, about the 8 o'clock position. You've got yourself a little chunk there. See that? That's what's causing our problem there, and possibly up that top corner there as well. So the way we're going to fix this is we're going to go at it one more time again until we get that brass area there looking nice and shiny. Let's go. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so we've got wind it backwards. Wind everything backwards. You see that? About 4 o'clock there, you've got a bit of a nasty gash there. And still more around the 1 o'clock area, you've got, it's not level yet. But I do believe that that is deep enough that the powered one should be able to finish this off. Because the manual one will really take the meat out. This one won't, but it'll give you the beautiful finish that you're after. That's what you really need. This cordless drill, reverse, variable speed is not really important, but reversibility really is. Again, I could get a spanner and wind that in, but handheld's all you need, really. No hammer setting or anything. Do not have it on hammer setting. Have it in either direction. I'm backing off the pressure. You hear it's going faster now because I'm not really pushing it. That's what you want.
To clean up any metal filing and debris lodged on the thread, use an old toothbrush. Failing this can result in the carriage being harder to turn, or worse, cross-threading, which can damage the fine thread. This can be rather an expensive mistake if it cannot be rescued by an internal thread repair tool. Although the shower or tub assembly may cost around under $65, but because it's located behind the tiles, the largest component of the repair cost will be retiling and re-bricking.
Grab a hold of the whole body. Quite often tradesmen don't really do a very good job of anchoring it to the wall, and you start undoing this and you end up twisting the whole thing off the wall, and you can even twist the pipe and cause that to split. So grab a hold of that. These things are so cheap sometimes to replace them, and people just buy that whole kit, undo it here, and then just replace the whole thing, because you get it all in one thing and they're not that expensive. But in this case, we're going to find out what's wrong with this. So I'm going to pull back on that. So I pulled back on that way, pushed on that way to make sure that she stayed level, that there was no twist in it. That just drops straight out, so have a look at the washer. You can see it's crushed and it's formed a line. This spindle seems to be pretty smooth. And looking at it, there's not much left of that seat at all, if you can see it. It's just not worth it. There's muck in there as well. Let's just get a new one of these.
These spindles are from wall-mounted taps. Those are garden tap spindles. Our examples happens to use the same size fittings, meaning the parts used are identical. Spindles may look identical, but the number of parts vary. Let's take them apart. As you can see, spindles can have 1 or 2 O-rings, along with one fibre washer. I suggest replacing all these parts by purchasing a kit. To replace the parts for these wall-mounted spindles, look at the packaging for 1/2 inch BSP and 13mm. Here are a variety of packages that suits the wall spindles. Note that the tap washers will be the same size for basin, shower or bathtub. Just beware, basin spindles vary upon design. Here are a few examples. If you're wondering why there is a leak from the spindle when the tap is turned on, a broken number 8 O-ring is the cause. If the spindles is not behind brick or dry wall, just beware to keep a lookout for a pair of spindle bonnets or spindle extenders so that you don't throw them out by accident, because if you do decide to replace those spindles, you may find you're unable to put back on those cover plates.
If you've ever wondered the whole curious thing about, what's the deal with, like, with this one's for hot, that one's for cold, which one do I go for, one of these, one of those, all this stuff, I can tell you right now, all this sort of stuff is just gimmick. Water. Okay, way hotter than, it's impossible for you to get hot water that hot. So you can smart your pair of tongs. That doesn't change the thing. It's just a cheap plastic washer, boiling water, way hotter than any water you'll ever get from out of your tap. And look, it's no different at all.